Hi, I'm here with Evan Harrison, CEO of Kiss the Ground. Our firm led the search that placed Evan at Kiss the Ground about a year and a half ago. And Evan came to Kiss the Ground with a background in digital music and media, in senior roles with companies like AOL Time Warner, iHeartRadio, Univision, and most recently served as president of Town Square Media. Welcome, Evan.
Thanks for having me, Ben.
Sure. We've seen over the years, a lot of corporate executives moving into nonprofit and higher education spaces in a variety of different roles. And just curious, from your standpoint, how has that transition gone from corporate to nonprofit so far?
I certainly built up skill sets that are applicable in the corporate world. No two ways about it. However, after serving on a bunch of boards for nonprofits, I respected the fact that people join the staff of a nonprofit for a much different reason than they join the staff of a corporation or a for-profit company for that matter. And you have to really respect that approach. It's a different sensibility. That said, they still need to operate like a business. And the business acumen, the business skills that I've built up over the years were very much transferable. So while there is definitely a learning curve, certainly as it pertains to regenerative agriculture, that was a huge learning curve for me.
Sure.
What I pretty quickly realized was I was not alone, and I didn't feel ashamed that I didn't know the intricacies, the science, and the detail of regenerative agriculture, because I was along with 96% of the U.S. adult population that had not heard of regenerative agriculture and healthy soil as a viable solution for problems that affect us all, from wellness to the water crisis to the climate crisis.
Well, and you've already touched on this a little bit, but I'm curious if you could share a little bit about the mission of Kiss the Ground and really what it is that the organization does relative to regenerative agriculture.
So Kiss the Ground was established almost 11 years ago. And, it came from co-founders who really had an itch and learned about regenerative agriculture. And they thought that a vegan lifestyle was really the answer. And when they learned about regenerative agriculture, like most people, they started Googling and realized, wow, there's not that much out there about it. How is it that nobody knows that there is a very real solution to problems that now affect us all? And the name Kiss the Ground is from a Rumi quote, "There are 100 ways to kneel and kiss the ground," which is very simply, there's not one approach, but for those who care about the environment and our wellness and really want to have a better future for our kids, for our grandkids, there is a viable solution. And hey, we need to tell the world about it. That was really the mission 11 years ago. And, it's evolved over time. Kiss the Ground started out just talking to anybody who would listen about soil health. And eventually some filmmakers, succumbed and created the film Kiss the Ground in partnership with the organization. And now over your shoulder, you've got the poster for our follow-up film, Common Ground. There will be a third film as well. And, that is a mechanism to really awaken the world to the possibilities of regeneration, which is the mission. Simply put, we tell stories and we educate, and that's how we go about spreading the word of regenerative agriculture as a viable solution for crises that affect us all.
Yeah, I've been actually very intrigued by a lot of it, but in particular, the potential of essentially reversing global warming through capturing that carbon in the atmosphere, and how regenerative agriculture can really, essentially reverse global warming.
It's Go ahead.
No, go ahead, please.
I was just gonna add, it's interesting. When I started, because my background is in music, entertainment, and media, I wanted to do some research. And what we pretty quickly realized was 50% of the population does not feel that climate change is their issue to fight for. And, though everybody acknowledges at this point, not everybody, though the majority acknowledge that they're adversely affected by climate change, it's not a universal, it's not universally agreed that it's everybody's issue to fight for. However, wellness absolutely is a majority issue, that people want to take care of themselves, and more people are getting sick. It's undeniable. There are more cancers, and the correlation between our food intake and how we feel is pretty plain for all to see. So that is really the common ground that is tying
Yeah.
it all together.
Oh, that's great. Well, I know, the organization has roots, no pun intended, in education and awareness. And I know of late been very involved in advocacy. And I'm curious, what's coming up next for the organization?
It's really about focus, Ben. We've done a lot of things over more than a decade. And when I came in as CEO 18 months ago, I said, you've done amazing work. Now let's go with a less is more approach so we can bring this movement to the mainstream. So we've really doubled down on two primary areas: storytelling. So the films, the documentaries are a big boost for us. However, you can't have a successful movement without bringing in the youth, really youth culture and the youth, the youth into the movement. And the way you do that is with some more short form content. So we had to create more entertainment based, lighter content for TikTok and Instagram. The saying is meet people where they are. And we're reaching as many people on a weekly basis with that very more light entertainment type content through social media. So our storytelling program is now about mini documentaries, the big documentaries, and then that more short form content. We've been doing education for about a decade as well. And what we heard there was, okay, we now have all these advocates who have taken 5,000 people have taken a soil advocate training course, which is 8 hours of on-demand learning. A lot of companies we work with said we would love some internal training so we could speak about these issues and team building as well, but we can't spend 8 hours doing it. So we built out a 90-minute essentials course, which will be spread across corporations across the country and worldwide. It'll be in multiple languages. So with these education courses and with screening our films and giving keynote presentations, that breeds advocacy. So we took the power of that and the invitation to show up in DC and help affect policy change. The Farm Bill comes up and is a really big influencer of how our food is grown and how farmers are subsidized. And we've gotten 3 marker bills entered for the Farm Bill, which will be voted on later this year.
That's great. That's great. And I know with the latest film, Common Ground, that I know you're going to have shorter versions for kind of focused versions for farmers and for a variety of audiences. And I actually attended the screening of the film with a friend who is a elementary school teacher, and he was happy to hear that there's also going to be a condensed version, a shorter version for kids as well, and that might be available for teachers out there to start to share, kind of the mission of Kiss the Ground and regenerative agriculture. It's really great.
Yeah, that's correct. It's that is a successful recipe for any learning is you have a documentary that's an hour and 45 minutes, yet you make a free condensed version available for farmers, which really makes more sense for that community. Then you have an educational cut, which is about 45 minutes, makes more sense for that environment.
Oh, that's great. Well, one last question. You've been there now for a year and a half. I'm curious. We've had a lot of success placing corporate executives in nonprofits, but from your perspective, any advice you might give to other corporate leaders out there that are considering a move to a nonprofit?
Yeah, I mean, it has to be the right moment for you and what your goals and objectives are. It was for me, and I have not looked back one day. It's not easy. There's a misconception. Some people would say it's harder to run a nonprofit than it is a for-profit company. What I would say is it's been a very natural path for me. And there's nothing I learned in the corporate world that has not been applicable to what I'm doing here and now. That said, there are perks in the nonprofit world where every company I've ever worked for, there's been culture and there's been purpose, whether it's bringing music to the internet and then to the mobile devices, or experiences in destination locations for music festivals. Those are purpose-driven initiatives and they're fun. However, when you feel like you're with a bunch of like-minded people who just want to get a message out that will truly make the world a better place for our children and for our grandchildren, that's super, super exciting and rewarding. And the headaches are still there because it's work. But at the end of the day, I would say if you have an itch and there's a organization that will help answer a problem that you feel passionate about, just dive in and see what you could bring to see what you could bring to the solution. And if it's additive and it feels right, it's worth exploring.
Well, that's great advice. Well, thank you, Evan. I really appreciate this time. It's been wonderful catching up, and I wish you and the team at Kiss the Ground all the best for continued success. Thanks again.
Thank you, Ben. Appreciate you and all the work you're doing, bringing people like me and seeing that opportunity. It's been a real win for us at Kiss the Ground, for me personally, and I thank you.
Thanks, Evan.
Take care. Bye-bye.